when you start arguing men can get pregnant. I'm sorry. That is not true. I'm wearing a T-shirt right now that we're selling lots of at Outkick right now, Buck. It says, boys have penises, girls have vaginas, all right? I can't believe that this is a real debate. Men can't get pregnant. And also, there's a difference between, hey, you identify as whatever you want, but when you're a dude and you decide, oh, I'm a girl now, and I get to compete in women's sports, and I get to go into women's locker rooms, that's going over the woke waterfall. Buck, we have talked a lot about how COVID and how quickly things have changed in the wake of COVID has changed the underlying dynamics of many different states, red getting redder, blue getting bluer, but it's also changing who the red are and who the blue are in terms of voting. And this story came out, and I thought it was really connecting to what we saw yesterday. We're going to talk with Senator Josh Hawley from Missouri next hour, but many of you have seen the viral video of a Senate hearing yesterday when Senator Hawley got into a debate, believe it or not, with a Cal Berkeley professor over whether men can get pregnant or not. It is now Democrat orthodoxy that men, that is transgender men, women biologically who become men, they're now all in on the idea that men can become pregnant. And many people, white, black, Asian, and Hispanic with functional brains are saying, that's over the woke waterfall. I can't follow you there. And it's happening in a big way. This is from the New York Times Siena College poll in terms of realigning the Democrat and Republican parties. Democrats are now the party of the white woke college graduate. Democrats are more supported by white college graduates than they are by minorities, and Hispanics have now broken evenly for Democrats and Republicans. And this is a monumental realignment because, and I'm reading from Axios, Hispanic voters backed Democrats by nearly 50 points in the 2018 midterms. And now they are even, and we'll talk with Ryan Gerdusky, who is a great data analyst at the top of the third hour about this. And the other aspect here is 29 of its 75 House targets have a Hispanic population over 15%. The racist Republican Party is adding an awful lot of minority support, Buck. What's going on here in your mind?
The lifestyle liberalism that has overtaken the leadership class of the Democrat Party is an electoral liability. Let's remember why they put Joe Biden forward. Joe Biden has, over decades, really mastered the art of the kitchen table, roll up the sleeves, blue dog Democrat, just a union guy, just good old Joe. It's all a show. It's nonsense. Joe Biden's a rich guy whose son is a multimillionaire through selling influence to China. But let's just assume for a moment we're going to analyze the pitch that he makes. It's that Joe Biden is a friend of the working class. That's been his core promise all along. Joe Biden, he rides the choo-choo from Delaware to D.C., and he cares about the working folks. And you notice this every time he speaks, he goes, hey, just middle class. We're going to help the middle class. He talks about it all the time, like a middle class talking point robot. And what you've seen is the Democrat Party actually makes it a lot harder for people who are not in two categories. If you are so rich and so well off in general that or so protected, that would include a lot of government employees, from the economic realities of the marketplace under Democrat administration, then you get to be a Democrat. So this is where you get your limousine liberals. I guess no one rides a limousine anymore. We're going to call them private jet progressives. But, Palo Alto, New York, D.C., a lot of the Democrat strongholds, you have the elites who don't really care what the tax rate is all that much. Well, they care for themselves always, but not for other people. And then you also have those who are dependent on the government, which would actually include the government employees, people that are on welfare. We've noticed there's been been a huge expansion, and that rarely gets talked about, of Medicaid, of food stamps in recent years. So the Democrats are distributing all of this money effectively. Remember inflation, everybody? To more and more people than ever before, trying to buy off their votes. And there's a dependent class that needs the Democrat Party. And then there's an elite managerial class that wants to be in control at the top of the Democratic Party. Everybody else, Clay, is in between, really. And that's where the Republicans can actually come in and make gains. What was so different about Trump's appeal as it played out with the electorate in 2016? White working class voters in particular went with Trump in Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania, right? What is hopefully going to be different this time around? You'll have the switchback of more of those white working class voters in the midterms, plus this Hispanic tidal wave, really sea change that could be happening right now toward the GOP, which would be absolutely fantastic. And that's because there are a lot of Hispanic Americans who are small business owners who are, finally getting to a point in their careers, or getting to a point in their earning cycles where, they want to actually keep more of what they own, of what they earn. A lot of them have been immigrants, or their parents were immigrants, and they want that American dream. They don't want a Biden administration that's running around teaching kids about transgenderism and printing trillions of dollars and acting like it's no big deal. That doesn't make sense to them. And they're right.
I would say the woke waterfall effect is really occurring when you're looking at the white woke liberal, because there's lots of people out there who say, look, I don't really care what gender you want to be, right? If you're an adult and you decide I want to be a girl and you're a dude, and or vice versa, whatever else. But there is the next step. And that's where we are right now, where you start to expect me, that is you, me, everybody out there listening, to say things that are fundamentally untrue. When you start arguing men can get pregnant, I'm sorry, that is not true. I'm wearing a T-shirt right now that we're selling lots of at Outkick right now, Buck. It says, boys have penises, girls have vaginas, all right? I can't believe that this is a real debate. Men can't get pregnant. And also there's a difference between, hey, you identify as whatever you want, but when you're a dude and you decide, oh, I'm a girl now and I get to compete in women's sports and I get to go into women's locker rooms, that's going over the woke waterfall. And I think there are a lot of Hispanic, Black, Asian, and white people out there with common sense who are looking around saying, how did we ever get here? And Buck, I talked to you about this off air, and we're going to talk about it with Josh Hawley next hour. But I actually did a deep dive last night because I was like, man, what are people saying on the other side? There are an unbelievable amount of woke, white, blue check marks who thought that Berkeley professor made Josh Hawley look awful when she was arguing that men can get pregnant. The Democrats are going over the woke white waterfall, and they're doing it on Twitter, which they believe is the real world. And I'm like, man, walk into any gym in America and ask the dudes in there playing basketball or lifting weights, hey, should girls be able to, or should girls have to compete against a dude who decides that he's a girl? They all say no. I mean, this is crazy talk. And the idea that men can get pregnant is crazy talk. And this is where the far left-wing, progressive, white, woke universe has led Democrats to what I think is going to be electoral destruction.
This will tell you a lot, right? If we can just have a little thought experiment here. Joe Biden would either say men can get pregnant or would just do the usual
dodge it,
sidestep, dance around the topic. If he was asked, Mr. President, can women only get pregnant? The current president of the United States will not say that. So for anyone who wants to suggest, oh, this is a fringe issue, or oh, this is not that big of a deal, and they're making a bigger deal of it. No. First, that's one of the very dishonest ways the left often argues. They push their radicalism, and as they're doing it, and as they're seeding institutions with their ideologues, and as they're crushing people that dissent from them, they say, what do you mean? It's not even a thing. Why even talk? It's like two athletes. What's the big deal? This is what the left-wing morons say because they're dishonest. Joe Biden, the sitting president of the United States, would not be willing to say on a debate stage or in a public address that only women can get pregnant. He will not say it. because the Democrats
even worse, Buck, he
lose
would
their
say
minds.
men can get
I think
pregnant.
he would. I mean, what I really think he'd do is, come on, folks, middle class, inside out, top down. Mr. President, can men get pregnant? It's middle class, it's, no joke, middle class. It's just, guys, it's scrambled eggs up there. We all know it. I mean, the guy's a mess, so.
Would you have ever believed, Buck, that we'd be in a position where President of the United States would be afraid to answer the question, can men get pregnant?
No, but that's why I think it's important for everyone to know that this is where we are, everyone. Take stock of this moment. You have a president who, because of his party's lunatic orthodoxy, will not say the most basic biological facts. And if anything, he'll do the usual Biden. Usually when you corner Biden, what does he do? He starts yelling. He goes on offense. I mean, he's the angry old man yelling, get off my lawn. He's not even the nice neighbor. We got Meg in Melbourne, Florida, who is an OBGYN with an important science update for us. Dr. Meg, what do you got?
Hi, I'm not doctor. I'm a medical assistant.
Oh, I'm sorry. Medical assistant.
I work in fertility, Planned Parenthood, and OBGYN offices. What I would like to say is any child born is either a female born with female reproductive organs or a male that is not born with female reproductive organs. So end of the conversation there for people that want to be a man, but that's not what they were born with. So they would never be a man having a baby because they were born female with female reproductive organs. So there's your end to that fight. Oh, and by the way, the new judge that Biden put in that could not describe a woman, you can tell her because a woman has female reproductive organs.
Thank you, Meg. A little bit of hashtag science there. I just
again for the YouTube crew,
I was going to say,
just keep saying it.
Boys have
penises, girls have vaginas.
This is a thing that is real and true, and all of us have to live with that reality, whether people like it or not. That is, in fact, the universal and timeless truth.